Can I come?
All right, I think we're about ready to get started. Hi, everybody. Both thought I got some feedback. No, we're good. My name's Zachary. I'm the programs coordinator here at the Northeast Harbor Library. Welcome everyone here and everyone on Zoom as well. Thank you for your patience as we have rescheduled this talk. It's nice to see that there's still so much interest, and I really do appreciate y'all coming out here. We are recording this, and we will be posting it on our YouTube page in a couple of weeks following the talk. So for anybody that you know who couldn't be here, or if there's some information that you weren't quite sure if you remembered or not, it'll all be posted online. So we're going to jump right in, here to share information on the upcoming changes to the town recycling system. Please welcome the Executive Director of Municipal Waste Hub, Michael Carroll.
Thank you, everybody. As mentioned, I'm the Executive Director for Municipal Waste Hub. I thank you for having me here to present today. So this is probably one of the first times you're all ready to talk some trash. And I'm not the best public speaker, so bear with me, please. Municipal Waste Hub is a Maine nonprofit organization dedicated to ensuring affordable, long-term, environmentally sound disposal of municipal solid waste for our members. We serve municipalities, refuge disposal districts, public waste disposal corporations, and other public entities throughout central and eastern Maine, managing waste generated by household, businesses, and institutions. This past April, we changed our name from Municipal Review Committee to Municipal Waste Hub. This name wasn't chosen lightly. Municipal Waste Hub perfectly captures who we are and what we do, stewarding the municipal solid waste of 115 Maine communities. By processing our waste collectively, we achieve greater efficiency and productivity than any single community could accomplish alone. One voice, 115 members strong. We were established in 1992 due to financial struggles at the former PERC waste-to-energy facility in Orrington, which had just started operations. The municipalities pooled their waste together and became the minority owner in the PERC facility, which then made the facility profitable. In return, Municipal Waste Hub members received long-term municipal solid waste disposal contracts with fixed rates. 25 years later, with waste contracts expiring, waste-to-energy power purchase rates declining, and Maine mandating a 50% waste reduction, and it's for the first time in our organization, we decided it was time for a change. In 2017, construction began on a brand new state-of-the-art waste processing facility in Hamden, operated by Coastal Resources of Maine. Coastal built an $85 million facility, then faced many struggles during construction and permitting. Coastal operated the facility at full capacity for 7 months before closing due to funding shortfalls. Our partnership. In 2023, Municipal Waste Hub purchased the Coastal facility from the bondholders for $1.5 million. That same year, we partnered with Innovative Resource Recovery and renamed the Hamden facility Municipal Waste Solutions, MWS. Innovative is our majority owner of 90%, with Municipal Waste Hub retained 10% ownership. This 10% guaranteed Waste Hub a seat at MWS and on the board and oversight of the facility operations. After a lengthy solicitation and due diligence period we chose to work with Innovative, a multi-billion-dollar asset management firm that provides significant financial capital to the facility. No borrowing of funds or seeking investors were needed before capital investments are made into the Hamden facility. Innovative brings strong, credible team with backgrounds in engineering, environmental services, long-haul waste operations, finance, and recycling operations. This includes traditional recycling as well as food waste diversion and mixed waste processing. Current operations. We just wrapped up construction at Municipal Waste Solutions. Innovative has deployed just over $20 million over the last year, with $12 million of that invested into the front end known as the Material Recovery Facility, known as a MRF. The MRF is where all the waste is sorted and recyclables are separated. In April of last year, we reopened the facility as a transfer station, marking the beginning of the ramp up to full operations. We are on track to achieve full operations on the front end of the facility, which uses advanced screening, optical sorting to separate recycles, including cardboard, plastics, metals, glass, and grit, which are repurposed for cover and drainage. Over the last year, we conducted a thorough review in the characteristics of all incoming waste. This critical study helped us identify how to improve waste separation at the source, ensuring that materials arriving at MWS are not contaminated with problematic items like lithium batteries, tires, mattresses, and other bulky waste that require special handling and recycling methods. Phase 2 of our operation, this represents a larger investment. We're expanding anaerobic digestion capacity by 6 million gallons, coming online at the end of 2026 or possibly the start of 2027. This process is for all organics and pulp fiber, which we made back into natural gas, and the facility is already on the gas line with a connection to the gas line. Something truly exciting is our hub and spoke model that will revolutionize waste management in Maine. Municipal Waste Solution has identified strategically located member transfer stations that will serve as regional spokes connecting to the central hub at the Hamden facility. All will operate under the Municipal Waste Solution banner. This hub and spoke infrastructure will allow us to offer much wider range of services for virtually all types of waste, recyclables, with enabling us to optimize truckloads and logistics. With this model, we can efficiently transport and process recyclables, construction and demolition waste, bulky items, tires, and much more, creating a truly comprehensive waste management solution. Perhaps our most significant development is the acquisition of the former J Mill disposal site, which Municipal Waste Hub secured at zero cost and rebranded it as Jayco. The Jayco property includes an existing wastewater treatment facility, which presents exciting possibilities. We plan to utilize the site as one of our spoke locations to effectively bring waste and recyclables to transport to the Hamden plant. We also will use the site for our own demolition and debris disposal. Jayco came complete with all necessary closure funds for proper maintenance and site closure when needed. Transportation division. We implemented for the hub and spoke our own transportation division. Innovative added 10 tractors and 15 trailers to Municipal Waste Solutions so that we can transport our own waste and offer members transportation services. This significant investment in rolling stock will work seamlessly to connect the Hamden hub with member transfer stations throughout the network, efficiently and economically moving waste and recyclables. Beyond operation advantages, the hub and spoke transportation solution creates valuable synergies among members by significantly reducing our collective carbon footprint through optimizing full truckload capacity and routes. Scholarship program. Municipal Waste Hub is proud to announce our new scholarship program designed to support the next generation of service professionals. This year, we are offering $10,000 in scholarships for high school seniors or college freshmen already in post-secondary education. Over the past year, while the Hamden facility, Municipal Waste Solutions, has been in excellent hands with innovative resource recovery working towards restart, the Municipal Waste Hub team has been very busy. We visited all member communities, created focus discussion groups, conducted member surveys, and performed our due diligence. The feedback was constant and clear. Members wanted improved transportation solutions, more accessible collection points to increase recycling and decrease tip rates and disposal of other types of waste beyond municipal solid waste in ways that are both environmentally sound and economical. Well, we listened and we have executed on all of their recommendations. These developments I shared are a direct result of community input and our commitment to meeting their needs. We're working constantly on education and outreach material. We have the scholarship poster. We've created stickers for our transfer station members to say they're members so they can go to our website. We've created posters that we sent to all our members for their transfer station of unacceptable waste and the things to do with it, like your needles, your tires, and those type of things. We also created an educational video and a character called Scotty that is the start of our education and outreach that we share with schools and our members on their websites. And he's a character, but he tells you a little bit about what the facility does. Just a moment.
Municipal Waste Hub equates to more than just trash and blue bins. But what does Waste Hub mean? It means we enable your town to meet Maine's 50% recycling goal. The plant we use takes your waste in, sorted or unsorted, and extracts recyclable products. Regardless of where you place your trash, the right thing will be done with it. No need to separate at home. We take metal, plastics, glass, paper, and cardboard. Anaerobic digestion turns organic waste into natural gas. This is how Waste Hub and its over 100 member towns and cities in Maine meets the state's 50% recycling goal. Municipal Waste Hub. Reduce, reuse, recycle. Municipal Waste Hub equates
Good to go.
To summarize, we've rebranded Municipal Waste Hub to better reflect our mission. We've reopened the Hamden facility as a transfer station last year, and over the next several weeks, we will ramp up sorting and baling operations of recyclable materials, reaching full MRF commercial operations by mid-April. We've implemented an innovative hub and spoke model with dedicated transportation solutions, and we are developing public outreach and education materials. These developments positions Municipal Waste Hub to serve you better than ever with greater efficiency, expanded services, and continued commitment to the environment, to environmental responsibility. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions because this is a lot of people, so I'm sure you have some.
We have a question to start off from online.
Yes.
Allison asks, what decisions do town select boards need to make about how recycling is handled at EMR? When will recycling bins be eliminated at EMR?
So that is all up to the town's decision. So if it comes to us, it's all going into the same feed, whether it's the MSW or the recycling. Our permit requires us to extract 50%. We have no choice. So how we are going to do that is we are still going to do the commodities. So the nice thing about with this team coming in to redo the plant, we watched it run for 7 months. It's an $85 million plant. We got to see where the bottlenecks are. And so that's what's been going on the last year, is a few major components got switched out. So everything that goes through the plant now will be reduced to 9 inches. Optical sorters will pick up all of your material, whether it's plastics, papers, or some type of fiber. How we are going to meet that high diversion is your regular commodities will be picked up. That's probably 9 to 12% of your waste. That's what you put in your recycle bins now, your plastics, your bottles, your cardboards. Anything that's pulp fiber, so that's the tissue you blew your nose in, the paper plate, the newspaper, the paper, all that will go into digestion. That will become natural gas with the organics. The last thing is what we call grit and glass. Grit and glass will be used for cover and construction and road building and those type of things. Those are the things we're going to focus on right now. We will have residuals after that, and then what we'll do is those residuals will be analyzed and surveyed to see what's in there and is there enough where the juice is worth the squeeze. So to answer Allison questions, that's the municipal decision. Everybody right now that's doing recycling and sending it to a recycling center, it's just that 9 or 12% of commodities. You can continue to do that, but what's happening is you're paying like $250 to $300 tip fee for that, where your MSW for your member rate is like $90. And we're still going to extract that. We're going to extract more. Think about when you're at the gas station and look down in that can that's full of all those bottles and plastic and paper and stuff like that. So when you pull recycling bins, if you pull recycling bins, that is totally the decision of your municipality.
So how, in this system, like for a household in the town of Mount Desert, does that mean that household does something different with its trash and its recycling than putting out the trash for the garbage collection and taking the recycling to truck and go?
You will still do the same thing when it comes to us, whether the town decides to keep the recycling portion or just put it in with the MSW. That would be the town's decision. You mean
it could be all put in with the trash in one container?
Absolutely.
I see.
Absolutely.
If we're participating in this program.
Yeah, well, you are participating in the program. If you still kept your recycling, so there's a better way to describe it. If you still kept your recycling separate, we're still going to pull 50% recycling out of your trash.
I see.
So think about, so the best way to describe recycling is and I'm a waste guy for 30 years. So that blue bin you put stuff in is the great, and that's what that's why I took this position and I have so much passion for this plant. Is that blue bin, when you create that recycling, that is super, but that plastic bottle is probably going to be another plastic bottle, that piece of newspaper is going to be another piece of newspaper, and that piece of cardboard is going to be a piece of cardboard. Where this plant excels is by doing all the other pulp fiber, by the fines and the grit. We're still going to get those commodities. I've been contracted to go to towns and implement recycling, and that's how I know it's 9 to 12% out of the waste stream for those commodities. But by doing by making the natural gas and the glass and the grit, and that the glass is heavy and that type of thing, that's how we're going to achieve those higher goals. And we're going to be able to, the nice thing about this system is we're going to be able to give you what we recycled, everything. One of the biggest questions we get is how do we know what's recycled? That's a big question you get from when you're doing your collection. We're permitted. Everything that comes in crosses the scale, and everything that comes out crosses the scale. It has no choice. And when it crosses the scale going in or going out, it has to have an ID badge on it. So coming in is MSW, going out is either residual, that doesn't count towards MSW, doesn't count towards recycling, it's the residual, the leftover, or it has to have a recycling badge on it of some sort and a bill of lading of where it's going. So there's no cheat in the system here. Everything crosses the scale in and out.
So in a way, is this like I still don't have the understanding here. This would be putting out our trash from the house as if we were doing a single sorted recycling. In other words, we put the garbage, the trash, and the trash and recycling all in one container.
Yeah, I can probably jump in.
Yeah,
just
that's how you
some of the components of how we're going to actually handle it as a town. I think you've set us up really well, going through what we have as a facility that's available to us as a town, because we've been participating as Mount Desert for quite some time in the development of municipal waste solutions, and so what I'm proposing to do are some changes to the way in which we handle things. And so right now, we have a limited amount of recycling that actually happens in town. So there's really basically one collection site, which is at the Sergeant Drive location. We have a recycling center there. Because that facility is so good at extracting all of those recyclable materials, and it is automatically going to do that for us, and it is established such that the business model of it is benefiting from those recyclable materials going there. My intent is to put the entire stream, our entire MSW, into that plant's stream and not do a separate recycling process. And so I think we're going to abandon going through Casella for recycling, which is what we're currently doing with those containers at the town garage, and put everything into MSW. For me personally, we did it briefly for a while a few years back when the plant first came online, putting all that recycling material into a trash bag and then putting it into the bin at the end of my driveway and hoping that it all works on the other end. It's a psychological barrier for me. I've been recycling since I was a little kid. I just am very, very accustomed to doing it. And that's, I think, something that we have to recognize, is that we really don't need to be doing that separation. It really can be just the one bin all in, which was the phrase that was used previously. We can just send it to this facility. It will get sorted. It'll go into revenue generating streams for the plant. The recyclable materials will go into those streams. There'll be other residuals left over that go to landfills. Some of it gets used for purposeful uses in landfills. The organics component of it is going to be pulled out much more so than just someone's backyard composter. So they're going to be pulling organics that typically you wouldn't put into your composter, and it's going to automatically be sorted at the plant and go into the digesters. And from there, that anaerobic digestion process creates the biogas. That biogas then goes into the distribution system for the gas users, and that's burned, but it's completely recycled carbon. And so anything that was put in there is cardboard or paper or whatever it is came from a tree, or it's coffee grounds or whatever, that carbon that's in it is captured from the atmosphere and then goes back. So it's a complete recycle for that carbon aspect of it. So when that gas is burned, the biogas, it's not new carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. As far as how we're going to do it, does that cover it pretty well? Okay. As far as how we're going to do that, it's going to be a change to the facility up at the town garage, our campus there. The way our campus operates right now, there's a lot of vehicles that can kind of come and go. We don't have anything blocked off. We have cars coming through and front-end loaders backing up, and it makes me very nervous just knowing that that site is operating the way that it is. So what I want to do is change the configuration of it a little bit so that cars don't have to come into the facility, so that they can come up next to the facility, have a place to deposit whatever municipal solid waste that they want to. It'll go through the same process and not have vehicles coming in and out of that facility. So where we currently have the recycling center, there are 2 metal bins that are under the roof. Those metal bins will probably stay there as collection bins. I might change the type of bin with conversation with Mike earlier today. But that would be the only location, and you would access it from right at the edge of Sergeant Drive. So you would walk up onto that concrete platform and put your whatever bag, whether it's you want to sort the recycling just because you're so used to doing it and you really want to put it in a separate bag, you can do that. Just put it in a separate bag. I still like to take the cardboard out because it's just too bulky for the trash bag. You can do that. Just whatever it is can all just go into that single bin. And those bins will then be taken to EMR, to the transfer station, go into the regular MSW stream up to the plant in Hamden. There won't be dumpsters at the facility on Sergeant Drive. It'll be just those 2 cans that are currently the recycling cans, and you won't need to drive all the way in. You'll just park at the edge of the road, be able to walk up, put your materials into those cans, and then we'll be working on hauling those cans to EMR and transferring them from there. So there won't be any coming in and around, just to sort of keep that campus a little more secured and less vehicle traffic going through there.
But if I choose to put everything from my household, trash, recycling, metal, plastic, into one container at the end of my drive, It will also be picked up.
It'll also be picked up. We still are going to maintain all of the regular trash service that we have. We're still going to be doing the twice-a-week trash pickup. None of that is going to change. There's going to be curbside pickup in the town by our crew, our staff, through all of this, and that there's no intent to change any of that. So if you don't want to go the 2 cans that we're going to have at the Sergeant Drive, it's the same process for just putting your trash can at the end of the road. And so we will pick it up, and then it goes into, again, it's the same MSW stream that is going up to the plant, achieving 50% recycling. And you talked about actually maybe once you put the organics into it, it's even potentially exceeding that a little bit.
It's an estimate.
Yeah.
We feel that so we've been looking at waste for a year. That was the whole purpose of really bringing it in, is getting the bad stuff out of it, like the lithium batteries and all that. But of course, our investors aren't just, the nice thing about our investors, they won't take any technology risk. So none of this is new technology. There's MRFs all over the world. There's digesters all over the world. And we've gone and looked at the digesters. We're just putting them on the same campus. But they've been looking at the waste for a year, because the important part is the gas. It really is. That's what really keeps the tip rates low and makes this very efficient. And so they had to see how much fiber was in the waste. And there's a lot of fiber. And when I say fiber, people get confused. It's just, think of everything that's paper-based. That's coffee cup, all that stuff out there. That's all stuff you wouldn't put in your regular recycle bin. That's now going to get credit for being recycled. Zach?
Also in the vein of pick up at the end of the driveway, Anne asks, will trash pickup at the end of my driveway pick up cardboard that isn't in a bag? Meaning, could I have a separate trash can with unbagged cardboard that will get picked up?
Yeah, I think we're going to have to figure out how to pick up cardboard, because it is bulky. And right now, cardboard, some of it is going into the trash. We are picking it up. It's not everybody's sorting out. Pardon?
Construction debris.
Let me finish with the cardboard for a second, and then I'll come to construction debris. I was thinking about that one too, because I do want to address that. So we do have cardboard that gets into various bins around town, and we manage to deal with that. And it might be a little bit more at this point if we have people that aren't able to take it to a specific location and put it into the cardboard container at the recycling center. So there'll be a little bit more cardboard. We'll handle it, and it can be put in, and it could be separate. The construction debris question.
Brian, can I just tag on to the question
Sure.
for a second, which is businesses. I remember when I had my store, and we broke all those boxes down beautifully, and I thought they were going to be recycled. Of course, it turned out I learned that they weren't recycled, so that was a little discouraging. But
Well, they will be now.
But they will be now.
Well, they'll be into the digester, yeah.
My question is that's a lot more boxes that the town's going to have to figure out, or already has figured out how to deal with.
We're already dealing with the majority of the cardboard that's coming through this town anyways.
Right.
As
So there must be
a
a
collection
separate-
system, there's not that much that's going through that recycling center at the town garage. It's just those people that do come and break it down and bring it to that location. I break it down, I bring my cardboard there. But it's a relatively low percentage, so we do already pick up the majority of the cardboard, and it'll go through that digester process at this point, and won't be in the recycling stream, but it will go to a purpose.
Gas, right?
It'll go towards gas, it'll create gas.
Most municipalities just create a standard, like 2x2 or 2x3, to put your cardboard in.
Yeah.
And most people are going to break it down to a smaller size that are putting it in the trunk of their car. The guys with pickup trucks, probably not, but if you're throwing it in the trunk of your car, it's going to be, so most just end up putting like 2x3, 2x2, standard size.
A regular bin.
No, the size of the car,
just
your
as a
cardboard
size.
has to be broke down to this size.
Yeah.
Nowadays, 90% of the cardboard is small Amazon boxes anyways.
Yeah. Okay, the construction question. So there's most of the things in the town are not actually going to change. There's going to be a lot of things that are very similar to the way that we have been doing things. And one of those is going to be the ability to take construction debris to EMR in Southwest Harbor. And so each landowner within the town of Mount Desert, for each parcel that they have, the developed parcel that they have, gets 2,000 pounds of material that they can take to EMR. You just go through the scale, you let them know who you are, what property it's coming from, they fill out a form, and you can bring up to 2,000 pounds per year to EMR. And that includes construction debris, it includes green waste, it can be just regular MSW. There are a lot of things that can come through that EMR. So if you already take advantage of that, and I take advantage of that on a regular occasion for my own personal use as well, that still is going to be in existence. And so it'll be up to you or hiring a hauler to get that material to EMR. And that goes to the 2,000 pounds that each of you get for bulkier stuff that needs to go through. So construction debris will be handled exactly the same. Green waste will be handled exactly the same. What we won't have is the recycling center at the current town garage. It'll just morph into just municipal solid waste, all collected in the cans that are a lot like the ones that we're using for recycling now. The other thing that we do a little bit as a town is talk about composting. And for an individual that wants to compost, I have compost bins at my house. We use it for the chicken manure and for household scraps and whatever else. Anyone that wants to do that is welcome to do that. And as a town, we do sometimes at the annual town meeting, we have compost bins that are for sale. We have a raffle for a couple of the compost bins. Those kinds of programs are perfectly fine, and we will do that. But as a town, as a larger project, we won't be doing composting as a large endeavor. Individual composting is fine, but what we want is to send that organic material to the plant to go into those digesters to create biogas. So we don't want to impact that stream that's coming in that is a revenue source for this plant by taking that digestible material out of there. So it can all just go into the MSW stream and it'll be sorted out, and anything that can be digested will be brought into those digesters and go to creating gas. So no major programs for composting, but everybody is welcome to do so on their own individually. I think David was first, and then we'll go.
Maybe it's the same question. I mean, it's counterintuitive to me, Brian, like you were saying. You know, I know it's a really complex topic. What are the cost implications for the town of not pulling out more tonnage for good things like composting and other stuff? Aren't we just paying more to send it into their stream?
You know, I think that the people that do want to compost are already composting, so we're not getting into any of that in our stream now anyways. What we will be seeing is tipping rates that are significantly different than our tipping rates are now. So our tipping rates for recyclables that go to Casella are quite high, as you mentioned, and the rate is lower going through this system because there is a revenue stream on the other end of it that supports us sending it through there. So yeah, it is a little complicated and somewhat counterintuitive, but I don't think our totals are going to change significantly. But we're going to have those components that we're pulling out in that recycling. The tipping fees will go down. So I think there's going to be a benefit overall financially for the town too.
The budget of the town when it comes to waste management.
Yeah, and we'll have to see. Right. I think that leads into, was that close to the question that you had or no? Okay. I'll come back to the other point, but why don't you go ahead with your question?
Before you switch, can you explain what tipping fees are?
It's the price per ton that you pay for it.
So recycling is about 250 to 300 per ton plus transportation. Your MSW is $90 a ton plus transportation.
The 50% you talked about, that's my weight. Is that correct?
Yes, so if we bring in 500 ton, we have to recycle 250 ton of that.
Even though, I mean, so predominantly that means glass and other heavy stuff is getting sort of a bounty by comparison to.
It's ton for ton. I guess I don't understand I mean, there is heavier material, but.
Well, I'll move on to my other question.
Okay.
Which is plastic bags. I mean, I think I can speak for all of us if we keep that.
So we are actually working, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, just, you didn't sort of explain how you get down to that 9-inch thing that you
shredders.
mentioned.
Then so the old system used to have a drum feeder. That was one of the biggest bottlenecks. So it was this enormous wheel that they took out that had these big spikes on it, and it was supposed to rip open the bags. And when you use one of them big black bags, it's like 50 gallons or whatever, it was just leaving the whole corner of the bags and bags inside bags. Now everything goes through a shredder. So if it's over 9 inches, it's getting reduced to 9 inches. So that's gonna make, and then, so out of this whole plant, there was really only 3 major components that were replaced. One was that drum feeder, so the shredders went in. And then there's this trommel, and that was the picture that I had on the slide. Do you mind if I just put that back real quick? This unit right here, and that's all we're waiting on, it's showing up this week. So this unit is a trommel, okay? So the drum feeder was down here. This is where everything starts. So, and it was on the other side of that belt. And now there's 2 massive shredders there. This is the trommel. They are replacing this with one twice as long, because now that everything's 9 inches, it needs a longer length to fan out, to be flat, so it's not all bunched up. So that's what's showing up this week, and what we're waiting to do is place it is, we need such a large crane, a larger crane than this one, to take it off the trucks, so as soon as they come up, they're getting placed, we're ready for them. So those were 2 major components, and then we changed some screening out and another optical sorter. This facility has 5 optical sorters, and we're adding 1. Optical sorters reads the material coming down the belt to throw it in the right bunker for recycling. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thanks.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
This is not exactly in line, but anyways, one of the things I'm thinking, and you were talking about, you have, stuff with schools and stuff, not PR, what am I trying to move? Anyways, so I'm very visual, and I'm having a hard time with all these words, and I'm trying to visualize it. So do you have a little movie for those of us that are just, oh, this is where it goes in, and this is happening, and this is where it comes out.
Two things are happening right now. We've been running an ad for a month. We're adding a education, outreach, and marketing person. And we also received a grant for $35,500 to invest all in education and marketing. And so now that kind of things are looking up and the plant's restarting, we're going to actually have somebody that reaches out to the school, does lunch and learns, and develops more material. And we actually have a grant to do that with.
Awesome. So sorry. And then the next thing is, when is this gas making process?
So they're adding 6 million gallons of anaerobic digesters, which is a massive project. One thing that you'll know that the team that we're with, and this is the space they're in, they'll never want to get over their skis. One of the things with the previous owners, they tried starting up like 7 things at once. Pulp, plastics, film. They just tried doing a bunch of different things at once. And, between permitting and financing, and COVID was the big one, they got financially exhausted. So they're just focused on these things to get up and going. And to move on, you were asking about, we are starting to focus now on film. So we're talking to somebody that actually makes a pellet out of the film, and we already have all the separation systems in. We just kind of put it on the back burner for now and not going to run things through it, because the other owner did run film and they made a briquette to burn. But the only people that could burn it were in the state of Maine, and they're out of business now. That was Dragon Concrete. So these pellets would be shipped off to make like park benches and things like that, is what the film. So that'll be the next thing they're looking at. The anaerobic digesters, that's another 100 contractors on site. These things are massive. 6 million gallon tanks are massive. And so now, as soon as they turn this on, that will be the next focus. There's 2 acres of wetland that we have to reclaim, which is not going to, and some permitting, but DEP already knows the plan and is already basically, it's not that we've been permitted to go ahead for, that's what's under the facility license, but they'll have to see what the installation plan and all that looks like. But, so that's the next project. And that's a very, very massive investment. But we also have a program with the gas company on that, because it's very.
And can people come see your facility?
Yes, but not right now, because I'm waiting on that trommel, and there's about 30 contractors running around. So these 2 have had their hands up, and then I think we can jump there. Did you have your hand up?
I did, yes.
So someone who's always been told you can't have any contamination in the recycling, meaning you rinse out the peanut butter jar, you know, you rinse out the detergent. So you just throw it all in, you don't have to wash anything, and we all wash it somehow.
So yes and no. If that's your best practice, I would ask you to continue it.
Oh,
because,
just to wash it?
you know, but the nice thing about the shredder is it's over 9 inches, at least it's gonna be broken down. You know, the one thing about recycling is it's changed a lot. So, and the nice thing is I'd love to tell you we're the smartest people in the room, but I have the advantage of going to 70 municipalities that run transfer stations. And one of their biggest problems is recycling. The advantage we have is we have such high volume. So we will get contracts direct with the mill, which is, you know, it's not the fairest thing, but their tolerance for our product is a lot higher. Where a transfer station that might make 1 load of plastic a year randomly at some time, their tolerance isn't, because mills are bakers. They need the ingredients to constantly make the recipe. It's very expensive to shut a mill down. So if I can tell them I can give them 100 truckloads a year every Wednesday of number 2 plastics, their tolerance is going to be a lot different for somebody like me than it would be for a small transfer station that's doing it, that's very random when they can get. But if you're rinsing your stuff out and then that's going to be the hard part, then I can guarantee you, I don't know, that's a strong word, the optical sorter is going to pick it up a lot easier than it's full of peanut butter, you know?
If it is full.
Yes, so. And I'm sorry, you.
She sort of asked my question, what happens when there's contamination in the waste stream? So pretty much explain out if there's batteries or something that's completely, that would be.
We don't want batteries.
Right, people are people and they're going to.
That's going to be all part of the education.
Okay, but if it's in there, is it picked up by these optical sorters?
It could be the batteries, depending on what it is.
Get it out of
There's a good chance it would go into metal. I mean, I hate to say it, just like one of these small vape pens or something, if the battery is, if it's mostly metal, it's going to end up in the metal bin. Everything's going to end up in a home, whether it ends up in the residual or recyclable, it's going to end up somewhere depending on what the bulk of the material is made out of. You know, I ran a cardboard MRF before I came here. And so this is what I really like about this facility. All we did was cardboard. I brought 700 ton of cardboard in a month, but 150 ton of it went to landfill because it was contaminated. You know, cardboard goes in all these garbage trucks. Garbage trucks aren't allowed to have drain holes in them anymore, so they all have juice in them. It's really disgusting. But now, if there was a resource like this, at least it could go into anaerobic digestion. You know what I mean? I had 150 ton a month at least of cardboard. You go to any recycling center, they're going to have a dumpster out back, and that's their contaminants. You know, the nice thing is at least we have a few different homes for things if we can do it.
And one bin all in, that's going to start maybe in April, is that?
That's
we'll process. We're intending to start basically as soon as the plant is ready for us to send everything that way. And so it'll probably be April or May, probably May, before we get to that point where we're going to really truly put it into the full stream of going through that plant. And then the recycling center will revamp that, and I'll change, you know, propose to change the campus a little bit there and make the facility operate just a little bit differently. And then we have one online, and Jamie's had his hand up as well.
She's had her hand up.
Heidi, okay. Do you mind if we go to the online or then come back to you, Jamie?
Sure. I think it'll be a quick one. I was monitoring chat, so I might have missed it. Just wanted to make sure. Allison asked a while ago, when does this all-in-one start? Is that what you were just referring to?
That's what we were just talking about.
April,
May. May would probably be the best bet for when that actually starts.
I will be in communication because this is a massive, it needs dialing in. And so we'll start in the next year and a half. But before, I just want to reassure everything's going through and we're pulling, you know. It ran, there's only been a couple places where, you know, things have been replaced. So it's not like starting a brand new plant, because we'd be 4 or 5 months out starting up a brand new plant. That's how much things would have to be tuned in. This shouldn't be too bad.
So, Jamie? No,
so
back to you.
When I take my bin out on Tuesday morning, is there anything I can't put in it?
So we don't want any construction debris, we don't want any tires,
We don't want liquid fuels or propane, hazardous materials, paint, antifreeze, needles. Garbage is full of needles. Probably not up here, but garbage is full of needles. That is one of the major reasons we went down to 9 inches. We will not have a lot of hand sorting. Garbage is full of needles. Medical waste, appliances, and yard waste. Like, you know, when you rake your leaves up for the year and have 10 bags of them and stuff like that.
But you can take that to EMR.
Well, what happened to that will, I assume, inevitably get into the system?
Which, the,
I mean, people will either not know it or what happens?
We send some real friendly notices to the town 3 or 4 times, and then we start sending a bill.
A bill to the town, you mean?
Yes.
but we have a great program here because of the ability to take that kind of waste over to EMR directly, because you get a ton of waste that you can take there. So any construction debris can be taken there, and it can be taken there in your name. You just sign off. There's a form on the website, I think, that you can fill out for sending, if you're having a hauler take it for you. But that construction debris can go through the proper stream through EMR.
And remember, we've been taking it since last April. I would have had a list this long if there's a problem. So, like, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Because we've been looking at your waste. You come once a week, and in the summer, it increases quite a bit. There's no issues as of right now. We get the occasional tire and all that. That's the nature of the beast. I mean, it's gonna happen. But like, if you were filling things with bricks or hot ash, or my biggest thing has been needles and tires. So your waste is good. It looks good.
Yeah, I want to hit a couple of things while we were kind of on that subject, and then I'll come back to that question for a second, is that there are a bunch of things that aren't going to change within the town. One of them that's coming up relatively soon is Spring Cleanup Week, right? So Spring Cleanup Week is when we collect a lot of stuff that's like construction waste, tires, things off the side of the road. And so during April break every year, we have the crew out there and they work this week solid, and we have generally, a few extra hands that go with them, and you'll see them and they start at various places around town, right? Like everybody's used to the Spring Cleanup Week. So that event is still going to happen. It's still going to continue on a regular basis because it's really a great service in this town and a necessary component of how we manage things. That won't go into the regular waste stream, the MSW stream, because we're picking it up in a manner that is sort of pre-sorting it. So we're putting, green materials into one truck, picking up tires with another. And so then we take it to EMR kind of already semi-sorted and then put it into the appropriate locations there. So Spring Cleanup Week is still gonna happen. So we're gonna be taking care of some of those materials that way. The household hazardous waste collection event that we have at the high school is through the Acadia Disposal District. That'll be ongoing annually every year. It's in September, and we'll be doing that on a regular basis because things like paints and solvents and whatever else, all of those household hazardous wastes that we don't want in the waste stream, hang on to them for the year, bring them to the high school in September, sit in a line and wait and kind of work your way through, and then we'll take those. And that program has been, I think, incredibly successful. Lots of people utilize that, and that's a great way to take care of all those household hazardous wastes that we have. Yeah. We do have through EMR also, it's the second Saturday of the month, there's e-waste that can be dropped off there. So if you have computers, electronics of whatever kind, you can take that to EMR, try to keep that out of the waste stream as well. Another event that we have that's inaugural year was last year, but we're going to be doing it as an annual basis, is the Saturday after Memorial Day is Shredding Day. And so that'll be at the campus at the town garage on Sergeant Drive. So it'll be Saturday, I think it's 9 to 1 that we're going to run it. And we'll have an on-site secure shredding machine that we rent. And anybody who has materials that they want shredded, paper shredding of any kind, bring it on over between 9 and 1 on the Saturday after Memorial Day, and we'll be there, and it'll go through and be securely shredded and processed appropriately. So there's a bunch of things that we are going to maintain and try and keep a lot of the stuff that's not supposed to be in the waste stream out of it.
I'd also love to chime in this broader ecosystem of like recycling type events and things like that. the library does host 3 swap events every year, one for craft supplies, one for tools, power and otherwise, and one for sports gear. This is stuff that might have ended up in the big trash pickup in the spring cleaning in the past, but is still useful and can be used by other people in the community. So keep an eye out for those. April 25th is the tool swap.
You've been waiting for
I
that.
put my all-in-one trash and recycling stuff in a plastic bag or two, and those plastic bags are put out at the end of the drive for the trash truck to pick up. What happens to the plastic bag?
To a location. So right now, we don't have a home for film, but we're working, it's called film. We're working on a home for film.
So right now it goes into landfill?
Yeah, but it's gonna be, yes, but it's not gonna be the whole bag. Like, I'm not gonna get it as a whole bag, by no means. So by the time it hits our tip floor, it gets been compacted, hits our tip floor and is driven on by the loader and goes through the shredder, it's gonna be, I mean, some of it, depending on the type of plastic, might end up in plastic bales. It just depends on the material and the number of plastic. But film is something that, you know, that's kind of our next thing, and it's not something we just started. We have an NDA with the company, so I can't get too much into it, but it is, I'm confident we're gonna have a home for film.
And is there a biodegradable alternative to plastic trash bag?
There's a lot of biodegradable, like I know at the grocery stores, they're even giving some for what your vegetables in or some. You just wanna kind of research and make sure, like see what the reviews are, because I've heard some of them aren't, like they're biodegradable, it's taken a very long time, because the one thing that I think the biggest problem with biodegradable bag, and I think they're great, is people are trying to put them in with their compost. And it takes the bag a lot longer than the other material was doing it. So, Nick?
Who, when you do the anaerobic and produce the gas, who are the users of that at the end of that?
It's sold back to the gas company. So even though the plant, and this, I'm not a gas guy, this always confused me. Even though you'd think for the millions of dollars we spend to operate, it's cheaper for us to buy gas
Just to use
and to sell gas back down the pipeline than to use our own gas. There's so much value in selling gas. It's crazy.
I'd like to piggyback on your questions earlier, just to make sure I understood it. So if there is value in making sure things are not contaminated, you know, it's like washing, those of us that have been washing out or there isn't, or it's...
There is. I don't know if I'd go as far as wash it. And now, so now we're probably going in the weeds way too much, but like if the can's outdated and it's under 9 inches and it's a can of spaghetti sauce that's outdated, the chance of me getting that sauce into the anaerobic digester and me getting that can into a tin bale are probably slim to none. Because how this stuff is picked up, it's picked up by lasers, then shot with air to go in the right bunker. So if it gets over, dump the can out and then throw the can away. If you have a half a jar of peanut butter, I can't answer you honestly because of all the different size jars. How heavy is it? Where's it gonna end up? So maybe scoop the peanut butter out. What I like to think is 9 inches. 9 inches is fairly big, you know, and that's what most MRFs do. So if it's under 9 inches, it's going through whole, and that means, and where, to me, if it's something that has a residual in it that's organic, I kind of have 2 homes for it. It might get in the plastic pile, and that's going to be okay because, like I said, they're tolerance. But if it's that wishbone jar with that much, and I get 10,000 of those with that much in it, that's probably a lot of gas, you know. And I'm not a gas guy, but like if that's a habit, then go ahead and do it. But we're not going to send letters out and do education and say empty your stuff. I mean, there's so much that. At the end of the day, we got to do the right thing and do our responsibility for the environment. But by extracting 50%, so like I said, when you go in and see that commercial where everything's thrown in while you're pumping gas in that can, and the folks that aren't doing it and everything else, we are going to get so much more recycling than you've ever had before. Things are going to slip through, but the numbers are going to outweigh one another.
All right, I'm gonna live with it. I'm still struggling.
Are there any numbers of plastic that should be avoided? It used to be years ago, we only recycled
Yeah,
ones and
right
twos.
now,
Do we
we
need to
can
look at
have-
those numbers anymore?
No, we couldn't do that. Right now, we do have a home for everything.
Everything.
Some are not greater. I'm trying to remember the numbers. I want to say maybe 5 and 7, or there's 2 that aren't the greatest, but our optical sorters are set up to separate them, and they will be baled and go. They probably end up just having a lot of value on the end of for economical purposes. But at the end of the day, we still need to achieve that 50% under our permit, regardless of whether it's making money or not on the recycle. You should never, when you do one of these facilities, you should never count on the recycle as part of your plan. It should all be based on your process, because that way, if the markets crash like they did, you're not behind the 8 ball. The gas is a different story, I mean, the commodities.
Good, Kathy, and then back there.
On a whole different line of thinking, when you started your talk about the original, the Coastal Resource Center, I can't believe it was back in 2017, it was that long ago. So this company, Innovation, has really turned things around.
Yeah,
Can you tell us something about the
Yeah.
company? Where are they located? What do they?
Well, it's an investment company. They don't like you thrown out there, but it's White Oak Investment. They're a $1 billion asset firm. You know, they were into long haul waste and some composting and recycling things. They saw an opportunity at this company, and so they made the investment. Big difference between the two is Coastal Resources, they built this $85 million plant on municipal waste hub land. We never owned it. We had no say in it. So what happened is the bank held it up for like 2 years. And we kind of finally drew a line in the sand and said, you need to do something with this or we're forcing the bankruptcy. Now, a few people made offers, but it was nobody that wanted to service municipal waste. And so we weren't going to allow somebody to move into our property and not honor our contracts. So we were able to buy it for $1.5 million. And here's the big difference is this time we kept a 10% ownership. So we sit on the board, we see all the transactions. We have one director on the board. The board's made up of 3 people and we have one of those seats. And the board can never be larger than 5 or less than 3. And I think Coastal's biggest thing was the pulp. Coastal made a great pulp because I'm a pulp guy. They really did. But the one thing this I think was probably the nail in the coffin. This is my opinion. The one thing with pulp is there's no mill you can't use pulp. So pulp is what you make cardboard out of and all that. And you can't use pulp from waste for food grade products. There's no mill that's going to buy this pulp and stop running the Tony's Pizza box because the fiberite pulp is going into the hopper. You know, it's just, and so 30% of what they did was pulp, okay, out of the waste. So 30% of our 100,000 tons was made into pulp, but then that pulp had 30% moisture into it. And nobody was buying it, so it was all going to landfill and not counting towards diversion. It was just a rat race. So Innovative, at the end of the day, they'll develop this, they'll get it going. They'll build 3 or 4 more of these. There's a big need for them in like Connecticut or Massachusetts, but then they'll sell this to like Waste Management in 10 to 12 years from now. I mean, I'm a realist, that's gonna happen.
And this is their first venture into this kind of process.
They've had other processes, they've had other processes that they've done similar things to. I mean, that's when we vetted them, that's how we checked them out. They had a really large company called Endurance that moved a lot of waste. And they did that company and restructured the whole company under another name. They still own that company though, because that company servicing us for the waste transportation. But they're a strong company, but it's an investment, but it's a long-term investment for them.
There's another question.
I have these paint cans that still have paint in it, and I always put cleaner in it, hard enough. If I do that, can you still put them in the trash without having any contamination?
That is what we have traditionally done with paint cans that are latex paint. Oil paints you can't, that can come to the household hazardous waste, but the latex paint doesn't go to the HHW event that we have at the high school, but kitty litter is the way that we've handled it traditionally, and I guess that would be a question for you, is that
Yeah, I mean, there's a thing
acceptable
called
through
paint
there?
care, it's
Yeah.
free, and they take care of you. I mean, it's just, you're always determined, did you put enough kitty litter in it? Kitty litter is not the greatest thing for waste, it's not. It ends up in our glass and grit, but it's just, Maine has a lot of cat litter, and they have a lot of cat food cans. I mean, there's tons of it. I can't believe the people that buy, when I first went in there, I thought it was tuna fish, and it's cat food cans. I mean, the flies around and everything else, these bales were cat food cans.
Yeah, so the paint care, I haven't dug into it a lot, but we can maybe try and touch that just on that a little bit. When you buy a can of paint, there is a fee that comes with that purchase, and with that fee, there's an ability to return that can. And I'm pretty sure Paradise will take it back, and there's a few other, anywhere that's selling paint, basically, there is a fee that's paid as part of that, and then that can be brought there. So you don't really have to do the kitty litter.
And EMR might have something, because they usually would put a station at a place like EMR, because it's a free service usually. So you want to look into pink. So yeah, well, that's when I just want to, because I haven't seen, that's the first time I actually heard that. So.
Yeah, but there's places that are available on island where you can take latex paint back to, and batteries are the same. So I know you can bring batteries back to Paradise. So
oil paint goes to the
HHW site. Yeah, when we do that at the high school in September, you can bring in oil-based and other chemicals that you have around the house. Heidi?
So can you remind me again where all the different outputs from the facility go? I know gas is one of them. What are the other outputs?
So the commodities, which is, and I include metal in that, but there's a lot of metal in waste. So the way the metal works is it's this enormous magnet that's pretty much right after everything enters, and it picks up the metal, and then the magnet shuts off when it's turning and goes onto another belt. So the commodities are all your plastics, your paper, and then I count the metals and the tins. That's all commodities. That's all your baled products, and that all goes one way. The gas is the other, and then what we have is we have what we call the fines. The fines is all, there's a lot of trash, a lot of grit. Everything's screened down to like 2 inches, and there's a lot of grit and trash. That would be like your cat litter and all that stuff, but there's a lot of glass. Glass never makes it whole to a processing. Glass usually never makes it whole when you pick it up curbside. It's compacted. So that would go as daily cover and drainage to the landfill. Landfills are required every day to cover their waste or their C&D, even if it's the law. And rather than use virgin ground or to build their roads, if we ever get it clean enough, we'd love to bring it back to municipalities to do for like culvert work and stuff like that, but that's just another day. We'll have to look and see what the final product looks like. We make things so small, like when I look at it now, I see the plastic tines from a fork, and stuff like that. You can't go and spread that on the road.
Yeah.
So, but we get we get credit for that. So we get 50% of cover. So if I send 100 ton of cover out, I get credit for 50% towards recycling. We get the commodities, and then we get the gas.
And then the buyers for all of those commodities, is that a pretty stable market there?
We will do contracts because of the volume. Some of the stuff that we do, they probably won't want to do on a contract because we don't do enough of it, like those plastics that I never remember the numbers. I think it's 5s and 7s, I think. But yeah, so we're a good location to do a contract with because of volume. We'll definitely have a cardboard contract, and we won't do a lot of paper, but a lot of people will ask us to take cardboard in. So we'll take direct loads of cardboard in from these front loaders that service or from compactors that separate it. We will put that right in the baler. I mean, there's just no sense of putting that right over the anaerobic digester because it's already all sorted and ready to go. So that will go right directly in the baler. But yes, so probably we'll establish this. Don't quote me this number exactly. 80% of the products that we do on the commodities will probably sign our own direct contracts because a broker's always jumping around and you want to have a home for it. We only have so much space. So we might take a little bit lesser value than they call it the yellow sheet, but that means they have to take it. Even if the market goes down, then they have to take it and store it because we don't want to put it back in the waste stream. I mean, at the end of the day, our permit requires us to meet this commodity, to meet the 50%.
Thank you.
Two things. One is we're just about at time. So if there are any last minute questions, cook them up. Second is Helen asks, where is the information about e-waste and shredding dates posted?
I don't think we've posted anything about either of those. Well, the e-waste is just is the EMR. I think they have it on, and the ADD, I think it has it on their website. The Acadia Disposal District, I think, has it on that website. I'm not sure. We can check on the town website and verify that we have it there as well. But that's the second Saturday of the month. And you can just drive in, bypass the scale, go directly to where they're collecting electronics. The shredding day, I've got it in my calendar, actually saw it when I was trying to figure out dates. I haven't promoted it just yet, but that will be on the website relatively soon, and we'll make an announcement from the town's email system. And then you had a question as well? Oh. Okay, I think we're...
I was just wondering, is it shorted and then shredded, or is it shredded and then short?
Shredded, then sorted.
So how does it know, like, if it's plastic 1 or 2?
So they're called optical sorters, and they run lasers that read the material, and then it's so fast. And then as soon as it picks the material up, it blasts with a shot of air. And these are how most MRFs are set up. And it goes into the different belt, and that belt takes to a bunker for baling.
Okay, so it's like measuring on density, kind of, to know if it's what type of plastic it is.
Yes, it has to, because there's one group of plastics you can mix, but there's two that you can't, that can be together. So optical sorters.
And I know some plastic is just can't be recycled at all.
Rigid, I believe. So I'm not, but there is like, so one thing that we have is we have another, because there's some, when they say plastic that can't be recycled at all, I look at sometimes as like the Barbie car, you know, the big and that type of thing, where we actually have that's where the shredder comes into play.
Okay.
So everything will be 9 inches and under. I mean, there's lots of plastic I think wouldn't get recycled just because it can't be processed. You know, so back in the old system, if that could make it into us. I mean, if it fits in a black 55-gallon bag, it's going to get to us. Okay, and that was the old system where if that happened, a sorter most likely would throw that to go down the belt of the residuals. Now they're just not going to have that option.
Yeah, one thing I would say is the resources here to deal with different materials are pretty incredible. The Town of Mount Desert does have ways and can direct people towards these places. I think everyone here probably really cares about recycling, right? And some of us have learned new things about where things can go. So tell your neighbors and talk to each other, because we all know so much stuff ends up in our regular trash that doesn't have to, or maybe shouldn't, and is hazardous. So if you say hazardous waste is once a year, that's pretty challenging, right? But maybe you know your neighbor's gonna go. Or maybe you operate a business and can set things aside in back rooms, or if you're in property management, that can be hard, but you find a place and you set stuff aside so you can try to deal with it properly. So I remember coming to this meeting years ago, right before the initial switch happened. There was a lot of similar questions, concerns, worries. What happens to my stuff, right? And it feels really good to care about it. The fact is, a lot of people don't, and a lot of people throw everything in that trash bag. So I'm really glad that we're all here, but it's an opportunity. It's not always convenient, but we're trying to do the right thing and support business models that actually hopefully work. So that's what I want to say.
Yeah. Thank you.
You know, one thing that we're going to be, and we've done a lot of them, is tours. I mean, you can't call me and say, I'm in town at Sam's Club, can I take a tour? I mean, this is a pretty massive operations with safety, but we'd be happy to work through your town and schedule, you know, tours. We've been doing a lot of them. We've been doing a lot of group tours. The nice thing is the next one is everything should be turning when we'll be doing, because I've been told for the last 30 days, no more tours, because there's so many belts and cranes and everything else around. But yeah, so.
Thank you.
brought some grocery bags and some milk picks if anybody wants, okay?
We just moved into